Hey, this is Rob Anspach, and welcome back to another eHeroes edition. Hey, today I have Monica Forte with me, and we're going to talk about making magical vacations. Now, a lot of you entrepreneurs are burned out, you're tired of COVID, and you just want to escape. So I brought Monica on here to talk about all the wonderful things that you guys can do when it's time to take a vacation, which to me is, should be like right now. So welcome, Monica, and thanks for being here.
Oh, thank you, Rob. I appreciate it. I know we had a little bit of I had clients earlier and 1 o'clock came, and,
You know,
but
I'm a big
it,
Disney fan. You're a big Disney fan. I love going to Disney.
yeah,
So let's start there because
yeah,
the whole thing about making magical vacations is that getting that magic experience. Disney is the master of making things magical, or at least they were before COVID. Now, not so much.
yeah.
And I think that's disappointing to a lot of people.
It is a lot. So I could tell a little bit. So, yep, I'm the owner of Making Magical Vacations Travel. We're based here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I've got 13 magical specialists here. Got 8 here in Pennsylvania, scattered throughout the state. I got 4 in Florida, right around Walt Disney World. And then I have one that came actually off a Disney cruise ship. She was on there for 3 years, and she lives in North Carolina, so she's now part of our team. But back to what you had said about here's the magic. Disney's all about magic. There's Mickey right here, and what's going on. And yeah, it's very disheartening. It's very disappointing. 2020 was supposed to be a very stellar year for us. We had a stellar year last year, and we were very very busy up until here came the close. And for me, a lot of my clients are my family. I mean, they really are. They become family to me. I've done repeat vacations with them throughout the years. My furthest client is actually in Dutch Harbor, Alaska. I have
Wow.
one in Puerto Rico, and then throughout the United States. And when we got the news that this was closing, I was actually out in Disneyland when that happened. And coming back home, and my son says, "Yeah, mom, we need toilet paper." I'm like, "So go to the store and get it, right? Go to the store and get it." And here we were. I was just leaving Disneyland, and had I known, I could have went to the gift shop, bought 2 luggage carriers, filled it with the resort toilet paper, and had that checked for free on Southwest because I get 2 check bags. Who knew? I could have had Disneyland toilet paper, but that was not in the cards. But yeah, for me, making magical vacations, that's what my business is. That's what I do. And then for me not to be able to do that for 6 months, now almost 7 months, I had little 5-year olds who were part of my families. Monica, you don't sound magical.
Yeah.
How do I tell a 5-year old, well, Mickey's on vacation and we don't know when he's going to get back? We don't know when the parades and the fireworks and the dining plan and those character experiences that, like you said, Disney is so known for. How are we going to get them back? And God only knows. I
Yeah,
mean,
my favorite is the Mickey's Not So Scary, Halloween party, and it runs from I think August until October,
yeah,
and it's one of those hard events where if people have never been to Disney World, it's one of those after hour events that starts at 7 o'clock and lasts for a couple hours, but you pay extra,
hmm,
and you stay there, and they you can, as you walk around, it's like trick or treating at
yeah,
Disney World, and then
yeah,
you can ride the ride. I mean, 5 minute wait times almost all rides, which was just
yeah.
phenomenal.
Plus the event itself. I mean, you have the parade, which is
Yeah.
totally different. You have the different fireworks. Last year they did a stellar show with the projections, and Jack Skellington is now the star of that show.
Mhm.
So, here we were last year. We always go every fall because of Not So Scary. And this year we're like, okay, we're going to decorate our yard up like we normally do, but now we're going to really do it. We've had tons of people stop on Fruitville Pike where we live. You'll know the house. And they stand out there on the median on the other side of the street on the Bel Air side. And they just are in awe. They're like, And we go, yeah, we know, we know, and it's but yeah, those special events. Oh my gosh, I mean, so many memories you can make there, and you don't even have to really, other than have the package, really spend money because I get a lot of families that like just to resort hop.
Yeah.
When Christmas time comes, and Christmas is going to be another downer because again, the castle lights that everybody loves to see, they're not going to be there. They're going to have the projections, which is going to be new. No parades, no fireworks. They have these cavalcades now, these little standalone floats that come every now and then, but you don't know when they're going to pop up. So
Right.
they don't want to have anybody have a crowd around them. But I mean, the thrill of going to Walt Disney World is getting that picture with Mickey Mouse. You can't do that.
Yeah, I
The
mean, I
princess, you
over the
can't.
years, I have pictures with Mickey, I have
Oh,
pictures with Donald, I have pictures with Pluto and Goofy
yeah.
and Stitch,
Oh,
and people are like, "Well, Rob, you're like 50 years old. Why are you still going to Disney?" I said, "Because that is my magical place. I love going."
yeah.
And you just it, granted, I'm an entrepreneur, but
Mhm.
I go there, I get inspired. I go there, I act as a kid. I go there to ride the rides. I go there to have fun and take my kids and grandkids
Absolutely.
but you know, I had scheduled to go this year, but the with COVID and wearing masks and Disney eliminating a lot of the things that I felt were magical,
Mhm.
and a lot of people have experienced this.
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah,
well, how can I have a magical experience if the magic is not there?
right. Well, now you see I don't know if you watch, Freeform. That's one of Disney's television, channels that they have. You're now starting to see slowly integrated commercials, and their taglines are, "The magic is here. The magic is elephants. The magic is flying," like
Mm,
soaring with Peter Pan and them. So they're trying to get people back, but it's gonna be a bit before we get that confidence back to see, like you said, I had a lot of families booked, raring to go. I mean, that Monday, which was, I guess it was June, not June, March 16th when they closed. Um, my families were ready to go on March the 14th, and they're like, Monica, what do we do? I was, like I said, I was out in California, and I had to redo everybody's packages all up until, and then Disney had a stop sell. We couldn't even sell it. Couldn't even sell it because we didn't know. They had no indication what was going to happen until late May when they had their reopening phase going to the state officials of Orlando and the mayor of the county and stuff. And they finally got the approval. But even that, the slow progression was half of the resorts Disney has, Walt Disney World itself has 30 resort properties, meaning it's on property. And so half of them are only open. We don't know when the other half will open. So that's we're waiting for that to be unpaused. The dining plans are paused. So, right now you could get quick services, and you got to pay out of pocket. They're not even part of a package that you could prepay like you would normally do to have everything done, and you just go. You just have the fun. Um, just like you and I mean, I just turned 50 this June. I wanted to go to Disney, couldn't, you know. Um, my trips that I've had was 73 trips in 10 years. And
wow.
people go, why the hell? They go, on Earth, they go, why the hell do you go there? You've been there already once or twice. And I said, all right, let's take this scenario. I love the beach. I'm originally from the Jersey Shore. I still have sisters that live there. Why would I want to drive around and stalk a family because they might be leaving and then they might not, to find that ample parking spot where I could be close to the beach, unload my stuff, drag it out to a spot where I'm going to be huddled around people just to be on the beach. And then by the time I'm ready to eat, I got to lug everything back, have people stalk me thinking I'm leaving just to go to the boardwalk to have some ample food, which is really, it'll make a cardiologist cringe. But here at Disney, you don't have that. It's not that way. It's everything is so convenient.
Right. And
Down from the transportation to get you from the airport to the resort, to getting on the buses that Disney has, or the Skyliner, or their water transportation. You know the food's going to be great. We got these Disney chefs that do magical concoctions, right? And then the entertainment itself. And the beauty of each of those resorts are so themed differently that, yeah, you're in Central Florida, but you could feel like you're in Jamaica when you go to Caribbean Beach. Or if you want that Hawaiian feel, you go to the the Disney's Polynesian Resort. So my husband's like, "This is going to be our resort forever."
yeah,
He goes,
I mean,
I'm not going to drive around the beach."
I think I've been there 10 times in the last, I don't know, 20 years.
Hmm.
And it's always a different adventure.
Yeah, it is.
It's always something that I always discover something I didn't do before,
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
that's what we try to do. I mean, it's like, okay, yeah, you can just go to the four parks and that's great, but did you know that they have water parks? Did you know that they have miniature golf? Did you know you have this
Yeah.
and shows and I'm like, I didn't know all that.
Did you know you can archery? You can
Yeah,
have archery. You
and
can
you
do
can go
bird fishing,
canoeing and fishing and
absolute horseback riding. I mean, the sky's the limit, you know?
yeah,
It's like, where else can you do all of that,
yeah,
you know? Except you'd have to do multiple vacations at different destinations, and it's like, it's all there.
yeah,
It's all there, you know? And it's, I know. I mean, the memories that we have and the cherished memories that we're gonna have, it really when they say it truly lasts a lifetime, it does. I
yeah.
mean, and I get families where they go, "Monica, when is the ideal time to take a kid?" You know, like I get a lot of grandparents that'll say that. They go, "Well, we just had the baby, they just had the baby. Should we wait 6 months to a year? Should we wait till they're 5?" And I say this, well, they might not remember it, but guess what? You will. You're going to see their expression. That's going to be once in a lifetime, because when that baby's 6 months old and he sees Mickey Mouse for the first time, that eye catching, jaw dropping face, whether the baby screams because he's scared or whether the baby smiles because he loves him, you're always going to remember that. Are you going to have that same expression when they're 5 and 6 and 7 or maybe 8 years old? Yeah, you might, but they're going to be a little older.
Mhm.
But I said a lot can happen in those 5 years. Something can happen. Life altering events can change a whole family's dynamic when
Mhm.
you could have taken that time and that ample time to go. And whether that's that one once in a lifetime trip, or it might evolve and this is going to be something that's going to continue to grow with the family. Like you said, it's never going to be the same trip, no matter where you stay on resort. It's never going to be the same. The rides and the attractions will, but the overall effect of that attraction is going to evolve as you guys do. Because my kids that were 4 and 5 when they went down Splash Mountain, I'm looking at the picture right now in my office of their screaming face going down for the first time, and then hey, when they're 18, yeah, but they're still having fun, you know?
You
So,
know,
I mean,
my favorite ride is still Pirates of the Caribbean,
oh, my
and
husband,
I walk into that, I can smell it, I can feel it, I feel like I'm inside, that environment.
yeah,
and
uh-huh,
then my second one is Haunted Mansion. But if
oh,
I go over to Disneyland, my favorite is the Indiana Jones uh,
that Forbidden Life,
Forbidden,
Forbidden Life,
yeah, and
yeah,
that is just phenomenal.
I
You
know.
know,
Just now, for anybody who's Star Wars, okay?
oh
Did
yeah,
it
my shirt kind of faded, but it's Star Wars on here.
I saw my husband has the same one. Um, that in itself, I can't even. So many of my clients, the minute they say, "You wanna see Monica speechless?" Just mention Galaxy's Edge. She will not be able to talk about it because it is just so impressive and so immersive and so intense. You just, you literally, I mean, that's why grown men cry there, because they just can't believe that this is real,
Yeah,
you know?
when we went last October, it wasn't open yet. It was opening like two
Yeah.
weeks or 3 weeks after we left, and I'm like, what? I'm like,
Oh,
so
I know. I know.
we get to see it in January when we go, and that'll be nice.
Well,
But
Rise of the Resistance, I'm going to tell you, that's
so
just So mind blowing.
If someone were to call you,
Yes.
what is your process to help them make that magic, that magical
Yeah.
vacation?
So, there's a lot of us out there. I'm not the only one. There's
Oh,
se-
yes, you're the only one.
I'm the only one. No, there's 7 billion people on this planet, right? I can't take care of
That's
7
too
billion.
many.
I
That's
just
too
can't. I
many.
can't. So there's multiple specialists that specialize in Disney like we do. However, the difference that I have versus them is that I'm just not selling the package. I'm learning about this family because overall, the experience that I'm going to give them because of my experiences, yeah, I'm going to be the expert to them. I'm going to be there on the phone with them all the time. They have my number. But we do an interview process. So, like, if you were to call me, Rob, and you said, hey, I want to take my grandkids, this is what I'm planning to do. Where do I start? First of all, I say, we're the Advil to the headache. Okay. We're the Advil to that headache because it can be. It's very intimidating. It's very confusing. So before COVID, I would sit with these families, whether I'd be invited to their home or over at Panera, wherever I could get Wi Fi. And it's a good interview process. It's not just 30 minutes. It's almost an hour to 2 hours that we sit there and we
Wow.
discuss this because I want to get to know everybody of the family, not just mom and dad or the grandparents. I need to know the ages of the kids. I hope that they're there because I want to know what characters they like, what don't they like. Maybe they don't like characters, maybe they don't like fireworks. You have some children that, especially with kids with autism, their level of, their sensitivity to the senses there, it can be overwhelming to those kids. So you have to really understand the whole dynamic of that family. Multi-generational families, I love them because a lot of them will say, well, Monica, we know that they have a 3-bedroom villa there. I said, well, let me ask you this. Can you stay under the same roof with that family for a week? And they'll be like, no. I'm like, okay, this is why we're going to spread this out so we can have 3 or 4 rooms with connecting adjoining doors. That way, if you want to see them, great. You want to close the door on them, great. You could do it. You don't have to be in their face. But the interview process is where I get to know if anybody has disability issues, any dietary issues, because as you know, um, Disney's great when it comes to dietary issues. They want that magic from the time you land to come to them. It's that magic's not going to stop just because you have a dietary issue in their restaurant. They will bring a chef to you and
Mhm.
ask, what are you allergic to? What can you have? They'll sit down with you and discuss a plate of food that it's going to be out of this world because where can you else do this around here in Lancaster? No, you can't.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to take that time to make you feel special. Only Disney will, you know. And so that's where I get to know the family. Any mobility issues we're partnered with several preferred vendors that Disney is partnered with. So if they need a scooter, if they need a wheelchair, we can get that for them there. Um, and then, too, with our services that we provide, and I thought about this 2 years ago, I did a lot of wedding shows before COVID. And right now would be the height where I would not be available. I'd be at vendor shows all the time. And I did a survey and I said, other than, finances, what's keeping you from traveling? And they said, well, I have pets and I don't want to keep them in a kennel, but that's kind of, hindering how we're going to travel. And so I partnered with local pet sitters. I partnered with local private transportation. I partnered with private elder care because you might have mom or dad still at home. They want to travel, but they don't. Yet they're independent, but they want somebody that would come and visit them and maybe do light errands for them while the family's on vacation. And maybe mom and dad want a vacation from the family also. So, it's, um, but
I like that because you're like the front line, you know,
mhm,
and I can call Disney all day long, and I love their customer service,
mhm,
and they do go above and beyond,
they
while
do.
you're there. However, you're like that person that if I need something and I can't for some odd reason get through to the employee there at Disney, I just have to pick up the phone and call you,
Yeah, yeah,
and you take care of it.
yeah, because we're directly contracted with Disney. That's the difference of some of these other travel agencies that might be here in Lancaster. I don't know how they became who they are or who they're directly contracted with. I've been selling Disney for 32 years. So I have a great rapport with my Disney, cast member team leaders that if any one of my clients or even you, let's say, you've booked your trip for January and now something's going on or a package comes out and you say, "Hey Monica, how come I can't get this package?" Well, I'll look into it and I'll try to see about getting that offer for you. I mean, I go above and beyond for my clients because that's how I was taught when I worked with my father and then when I was with AAA.
Yeah.
And so, I've had many guests, especially last year before Corona. It was Christmas time. It was just when the second half of Star Wars opened up, and I told this family, I said, "You're going to be in the thick of it because it's going to be intense with crowds."
Oh yeah, it
And
was. I
she,
mean, I've been to Disney at Christmas time,
oh,
and then you're like this trying to walk through.
elbow elbow, right?
It was
And
just
so
yeah.
so apparently her kids went to the Lego store the night before, got some Legos. Now, I'm not stalking my families on Facebook, but it happens that she posted this picture of the kids still in their pajamas playing with the Legos. And I happened to look at the clock because I know the itinerary. I put the whole itinerary that they want together. I booked the dining for them, the fast passes. I put it in a nice itinerary. That's a hard copy because you know how technology is. The My Disney experience, yeah, it's great when you can have it, but when you go in the parks, it's going to crash.
Yeah.
So there goes your itinerary, right, with them. So I have everything laid out. So I kind of knew that they had to be at the 1900 Park Fair with the Mary Poppins super fragilistic breakfast, right? And I'm looking at the clock. It's like 10:45. They had to be there at 11. They're
They're not gonna make it.
not going to get there, especially with the crowds. Um, Apparently, she had some issues, and it was because of the monorail.
Yeah.
So I said to the restaurant, she got there, she missed it, and she said, "Monica, here's the restaurant manager." I get on with them, talk to them. They comped them for another breakfast to come the next day. It actually was their down day, so they didn't have nothing planned that day. Comped them the breakfast, was able to get that in, and I mean, she would have been at a whole loss had it not been that she didn't have myself there
Right.
to help her. And I'm not there physically with her holding her hand in Walt Disney World. She has my cell. My home number is my business number. And, my clients know they could get a hold of me. They could text me, email me, message me, whatever. And if I don't see it, my sons do. My eldest sons do. They're like, "Mom, you got to take this." So they're like kind of my advisors, even though they don't have an advisor role. But the family knows us, and the families. I mean, I get to know them; they get to know me. I mean, like I said, I've done repeat vacations. There's this one family; they just did their 36th trip. I guess it was right before Corona, and every year they took every time the baby was 6 months old, they took them, and that was like a yearly thing. And it's I love the fact that I'm able to do it. Now with the way the magic is, it's like a deflated balloon. I was heartsick for these families
Yeah.
because a lot of them, I mean, we take a year to plan this trip. And I tell my families, you want to at least give yourself a year. You don't want to be on the whim and try to get everything in because the before Corona, you had to have your dining in at 180 days. You had to have the fast passes done at 60 days. And so a lot of those experiences, when you want to go on a whim, you're not going to get them.
Yeah.
However, I can go into the system, and because of the distinctions that we have with Disney, we are earmarked with them. Gives us a different level of a leverage that I can call into them and say, "Look, this client, they're going on a whim. They didn't have the planning. I need to make magic for them." They'll go, "Monica, here's what we'll do."
Mhm.
You know, and at least it's going to be somewhat magical, if not. as much as I can make it magical for them,
Yeah, I mean,
But
going forward, I think that Disney's doing whatever they can to still have the magic there.
they
Now,
are.
and a lot of people are a little upset. I mean, I'm upset. I had to move my plans around,
Mhm,
but in the whole scheme of things, they're doing it for health and safety. I get it, but
mhm.
they also know that with what they're doing, they're going to lose clients. They're going to
Oh,
lose, and right now, I believe that the park is still at operating at 25% capacity,
they are.
and they've had to let go of a lot of employees.
They did.
Now, people are saying, "Well, why should I try to even book a magical vacation if the magic isn't there?" Well,
Mhm.
we all know that the magic is not always about the rides that you ride or the food to
Mhm.
eat or the location. It's about being with family and about kind of accepting what's there.
Yeah,
So Disney is trying to bring that magic back. It's
they
going to
are.
take time,
Yeah.
um, and we're at the mercy of the local regulations.
That's it. That's what's dictating it. And I feel bad for Disneyland California. I know before we got on the interview here, we discussed this, and a lot of their big execs about 3 weeks ago, before they announced the layoffs, they really went to head with these State Department officials out in California in hopes that they could try to mimic what they're doing in Walt Disney World, because it has been successful.
Right.
I mean, even with the locals, it has been successful. And why can't they just implement it to Disneyland? But those governor officials out there and state officials won't budge for them, and it's sad. Disney's lost billions of dollars here
Yeah.
with this corona, and I have to say, Rob, too, our industry of travel. This hasn't been my first crisis. Um, I was in travel back in 9/11 when 9/11 had hit, and that was a slow progression of confidence. It was about 2 to 3 years before people really felt confident to fly, to go overseas. It was hell. Disney was at the forefront then too,
Mhm.
with bringing in Adventures by Disney, which is another destination entity that they have. That's basically how that came, was from Epcot.
Mhm.
Everybody who could not go overseas packed Epcot, and people were like, "How? Why? What the hell is this?" This was before Food and Wine Festival took on, right? They're like, "What is the draw?" Well, it was the cultural aspects of those countries that are around the World Showcase.
Yeah.
There's 11 countries showcased. So people said, "Well, if I can't go to Mexico or if I can't go to China and do my bucket list trip, at least I know I'm going to be safe going to Walt Disney World and I could get it in." So Adventures by Disney employed into that, and they brought out these beautiful VIP tour trips. Yes, you're not going to see Mickey there on those trips, but the cultural aspect, I mean, Disney bridged that gap because they benefited from the tourism dollars that we couldn't give them back then. And so Disney's already on the verge of when travel can reopen up again and we could go globally again. They're going to be right there at the forefront. I mean, their cruise lines have really, I mean, everybody in the cruising world is right now, this year is done.
Yeah,
It's
you
it
know what, and I have never taken a Disney cruise or a cruise
Oh,
in general, but
you have to.
what I've been told by a lot of my friends is that Disney cruise lines are above and beyond what most of the other
Oh,
cruise lines are, and they go. I mean, just when you walk onto that ship, the feelings and the emotions and everything that you is just phenomenal.
well, I'll say this to you, in the cruising world. So I was at all four inaugurations, plus I've toured them, and I've actually toured travel agents on those ships because I know them very well. It is another extension of a Disney vacation, because now you know how Walt Disney World is. It's very intense.
Yeah,
I mean, you could do 10 to 14,000 steps a day just walking in the parks of Magic Kingdom, Epcot, or any one of those parks at Walt Disney World. Here on the cruise ships, everything's there for you. So you have main seating, you have second seating, you have their Broadway shows that are Broadway, but you can't see them in Broadway. You can only see them on the Disney Cruise Line. They have special events on those ships, just like the Halloween on the High Seas or their Very Merry Time Christmas cruises. So all the characters on board the ship are all decked out in their Halloween or Christmas duds. The deck parties are stellar. They're the only cruise ship in the world that can shoot fireworks off the ship.
Wow.
So you'll see in the same itineraries, here comes royal sailing, and here comes celebrity, and here comes carnival, and they'll dock their ships just so that their guests can see the fireworks that Disney puts on. And then you get those people going, "Why aren't we on those ships?" And I just did a podcast about Disney Cruise just last week, and what people generally don't know is that 45% of all adults that are on board a cruise ship don't have any kids.
Hmm.
And people were like, what is the draw? Here's a Disney, this is a family cruise. What would make any adult couple want to go on a Disney cruise and they don't have kids? The fact is, like you said, it's stellar. It's their customer service experience is impeccable. You're going to be taking care of that ship. The food for the adult area, no kids can get into that adult area at all. There's sected areas for kids, tweens, and teens, so that the brothers and sisters, yeah, they love each other, but guess what? Sometimes they're going to hate each other too. So they want their own time on ship. Um, the Disney cruise ship basically got into the cruising world in late 1994, and they only started sailing back in 1998. Here was Royal with 35 ships. Carnival's probably close to 40 ships in their fleet. Disney only has 4,
Hmm.
with the 5th one about ready. Hopefully, it's starting soon to sail by the end of 2022. So that'll be the 5th ship. Plus, they have 2 other ones coming in their fleet, so they'll have a total of 7. But Disney's mainstay is it's not about the quantity; it's about the quality.
Hmm.
So they don't need to have all those ships to do what they're doing. And they outsell 10 times over any cruise ship, whether it's Princess, Royal,
Yeah.
Carnival, Celebrity. It's because of what they do. And we do a lot of land and sea packages with Disney. So you can have a couple of days with the parks, and then there's the Disney Cruise Line motor coach. They'll pick you up, take you right to Port Canaveral. Now you go on a 3-night, 4-night cruise to the Bahamas. Plus, you get their private island. I mean, you can't beat it. You just can't beat it. It's the food is stellar. The shows are stellar. Um, I mean, again, I'm getting speechless because it's just so much magic that they have,
Right.
on board. And once you do it, you'll be a cruiser for life.
Every time I go and every time I step into Main Street, which is
Um,
in uh, Magic Kingdom,
mhm.
that excitement comes back, and it's like, wow, I'm here. I'm actually on this street, and I'm
Yeah,
actually looking at the castle. And to me, that very first step into Disneyland or Disney World or Magic Kingdom is the most glorious one. And it just you have to be able to create I think with every entrepreneur, you have to be able to create that atmosphere that people want to keep coming back. And
yeah,
and regardless of a pandemic, people are going to mask up and they're going to come back.
yeah,
But when they get there, they want to see consistency.
yeah.
You know, if their favorite hot dog is at Casey's Corner and that's not open, that's a kind of a bummer.
It is a bummer.
And
Yeah,
they go if they go over to, be our guest and it's not open and they can't dine there,
yeah.
another bummer. You know,
Another bummer. I know. I know.
so
Disney
they
Disney has done what they have done slowly to trickle in some of that magic is like for the holiday, especially for Christmas coming up. They have the projections that are going to be on the castle, totally different.
Mhm.
Still, they were practicing fireworks about a month ago, so we don't know what's going to happen there. I don't get any of my information from all the fan groups on Disney, as with social media. There's a lot of fan groups and a lot of opinion pages. I get it right from the horse's mouth from the Disney execs, right?
Right.
So I get that 3 weeks before. So we're always in constant communication. I was just in a 2-hour webinar with them last Thursday about certain things that's supposed to come up. I can't say it here, but it's going to be some magic.
Yeah.
um, but like you said, they know that people want to come to Cinderella's royal table. So at the end of this, I guess it was at the end of last month, early this month, they did open it up.
Mhm.
However, the princesses will walk around on the top row, but they're not going to come to the table.
Yeah.
And see, so people, my clients up here, not so much in Florida, but my clients here are like, no, I'm not going to spend X amount of dollars for my trip if I can't have all the magic. If
Yeah.
the fireworks aren't going to be there, if my kids can't hug Mickey, if I can't have my daughter dressed in the bibbity boppity boo, experience, I'm not going until next year.
Yeah.
So a lot of our clients, God bless them. I mean, I have wonderful clients because really they went through the rung. Number one, they waited a year and a half to book this trip. We've been planning it through the entire time while we were waiting to go. Here came March. Now it's like, oh, what do we do? Disney then had an existing offer about free dining. They were hopeful
Mhm.
that, as everybody was talking about, well, we'll get open by April the 1st. That didn't happen. So had to push that off. So now I have all of my clients at the end, near the end of 2021, because January to February is still that kind of tight rope walk that they don't want to do.
Yeah.
You know, some
Well,
do, some don't. I still have a few stragglers that are still going to go in December of this year. I had a client and a family who went in September, and they absolutely loved the fact that they didn't have lines. They didn't have to, they could get their own meals with quick service, although they wanted the character dining experiences, but they know they're going to go back in a year or two. But they just loved it. They could go on their attraction, walk right back off, and get back right on. There was hardly anybody there. She said it was like we had the whole park to ourselves. And she,
and one of the
and
things that I've learned though over going there for multiple times is that I don't overplan now. And as much as that it's kind of counterintuitive to the whole, go online and plan your fast passes and do this and do this. Every time I try to overplan, things happen and I miss half the stuff.
I
So
know.
what I do is I kind of lower my expectation of that trip and I say, okay, this is just the one or two things that I really want to enjoy
Mhm.
this day. Let's highlight those, and whatever happens, the rest of the day happens.
See what happens. Yeah.
And then what happens is that because I've lowered my expectation,
Mhm.
my enjoyment level goes up. I don't feel so stressed, and it feels more magical.
Yeah. Right now, what they're doing for families is whoever does have packages booked is that they're allowing fast passes to be made and dining at 60-day mark. So
Mm.
before you go. So like with you guys going in January, depending on what that day is that you arrive, you have 60 days before to go into your My Disney experience and plan that. However, there is a new park pass reservation system, which I hate the word pass in that because people say, "Oh, I'm going to get an extra pass." No, the way it works is you have to go in and select the days that you want to enter that park, and you can't park hop right now. So that's another downer. So everybody has a base ticket. You got to utilize that base ticket. You can go in as early as 9 a.m. when the park opens up, and you can go enter back and forth that same park multiple times until they close. But they are closing the parks earlier because of no fireworks, no parades, So, and then people go, well, what are we going to do? We're going to go back to the resort. We like to park hop. We like to go over to Epcot, and we like to go over here. And you're not going to be able to do that. You'll be able to go to Disney Springs, but I mean, there's only so much you could do at Disney Springs.
Yeah, I mean,
You
a
know,
lot of restaurants and shops, but some of them are not even open at the moment.
exactly, exactly. And some of the entertainment that they have at Disney Springs, you can't even have the entertainment because it's going to draw that crowd. So like the candlelight processional for Epcot this Christmas, which a lot of people love. Not going to have it. They can't do it. So it's definitely going to be
But
a
this is a learning curve for Disney as well, because they've never
you
gone
did.
through this before. They've never had to shut down their parks for this long. And now the employees know that, yeah, maybe, this could happen again. I could get laid off, but when they come back, it's going to be for the parks are going to be slammed again,
They
and
are.
they're going to be locked to a job for a while.
Hmm.
Will their job be the same? Probably not.
Nope.
Will they have to train on other things? Probably.
Hmm.
I'm a big believer in making sure that my employees are tasked with multiple experiences that they can handle. But
Yep.
it's going to be these things that they're going to have to tackle.
Well, they're doing a lot with their the Disney Institute execs,
Right.
and a lot of their Imagineers. Like you said, nobody's ever gone through anything like this as far as a crisis that Disney had. So taking the cast members out of the element that they're so used to in a routine, because they also make the magic happen for the guests. When you interact with a cast member, whether it's at the emporium at the shop because your kids want something, or that you wear the buttons that says I'm celebrating. And a lot of those cast members will get all really theatrical with you,
Oh yeah.
and it's because they're on stage, they're on stage with those guests. And so to take them out of that element, and put them into the real world because they're in that world of fantasy all the time, it's going to be a challenge for them.
So
And
how do the listeners,
mhm.
how do they get a hold of you when they want to book their magical vacation? And
So a
it
good
doesn't
question.
have to be to Disney. It could be
No,
anywhere.
yeah, I'm directly contracted, not just with Disney, although that's what we specialize heavily in. I'm with Royal Caribbean, Sandals, Beaches, Atlantis, Princess. Um, what we pivoted this year with COVID was, and I found a lot of positivity out of this. We were so busy before COVID had hit, and it gave me some downtime to reevaluate how the picture was moving forward in travel. So I partnered with Amtrak Vacations for those guests that were so used to cruising and now they can't. Well, the only other thing that you could do to cruise would be to go on a train. It's like a cruise. Everything is there till you get to the destination, and
Oh,
then you
I've
get
I've taken the auto train from Virginia down to Orlando, and
different.
and
Yeah.
that was different. Yeah.
Yeah, totally different. So there's such a great destinations to explore. The U.S. National parks, they've opened up so that families can at least have some type of destination to go to. So we're doing a lot with the Amtrak Vacations. Pleasant Holidays is great for when globally we can go overseas. Hawaii's going to open up October 15th, which was just they just opened up last what Friday? Was it Friday? I think it was Friday. And they opened up. So now Alani, which is a Disney resort, is going to open up November 1st as long as everything moves well. So, there's stuff slowly happening on the horizon. The Caribbean can't wait for us to come because they depend on our dollar. And so there's a lot of destinations that are there. So if you want to do an all inclusive, you could. But the way to find me is on our website. We have www.mmvacationstravel.com. We're on social media, Bacon Magical Vacations Travel. My telephone number, if anybody wants it, I can give it 717-847-7654. So you can text me, message me, email me. I'm all over the place.
And for those watching this on YouTube, the link will be below. For
Yeah.
those listening on podcast, just
Mhm.
rewind and listen.
Yeah. Yeah. And I also have the podcast. So I just started that a month ago and I'm up to 70 downloads already. So
Wow.
somebody said to me, they said, and this was in the Disney world, because I know many of them, they say, Monica, it took us a long time to get to 70 downloads and you only did it in a month. And I'm not just talking about Disney stuff like you and I would, Rob. We could
Mhm.
spend all day talking about our favorite attractions and stuff. But I'm talking about the education of travel. What is TSA? Why are they so involved? Who's making all the rules?
Mhm.
Passport, real ID. because that's a debate. We have our presidential debate, but another big debate is the passport and real ID.
Right.
And so there's a lot of great topics. Wellness travel with Disney. A lot of people aren't aware what's there when you do go. You could still do fitness. You could still keep your routine. So there's tons of topics that I have that I had somebody say to me. They said, "Boy, Monica, you should just go throwing those topics out. Throw those out." And I'm like, I got to stop. But
There's and and just to keep this interview shorter because we could go on and on and on.
oh, we could.
But for those that really are thinking about a Disney travel vacation, go to Monica.
Mhm.
Go to her website, mmvacationtravel.com. And when you talk to her, tell her who your favorite Disney character is. Mine's Stitch. And then second is Mickey Mouse. As you can see my hat up there, Mickey. And
I see
but
him.
but this is what makes Monica an e-hero because she goes above and beyond for you when you're traveling. If you have a problem, you pick up that phone, you call her, and she will fly out there if needed to help you through your
Mhm.
vacation.
Yeah,
That's why.
I've done that too. I've done that, Rob. I mean, you and I, we talked about this. We discussed it. A lot of my families will be like, "Monica, is there any way you could come down there?" Because over the year, and like you said earlier, like how do we start the process? When I do that interview process, I'm meeting my guests probably 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 times before they go. So I'm helping build that confidence up. So
Mhm.
that way, when they get to Magic Kingdom and they see that castle and then they see all those people, a swarm of people, when it does come back after COVID, that's very intimidating to a family who's never been there. Or maybe they were 10 years ago, maybe it was just 5 years ago. But I'm helping building that confidence up so that way they have to make the magic just like I had to do prior for
Right.
them. And that I'm passing the torch to them. I'm like, all right, here you go. Everything's ready. Here's your daily itinerary. Now you got to make the magic. And it's difficult. It's tough, but I've been through the little ones where my kids were little. Yeah, there's going to be temper tantrums. There's going to be crying. Parents cry too because they're tired. So it's like it's a whole aspect. And what we try to say is that we maximize your time, we save you money, we ensure you get the most out of that vacation, and we're reconnecting the family because nobody really gets to anymore except with COVID.
Yeah.
That forced everybody to reconnect with each other, and now people want to get away from each other. So it's like, but we need to get back together and reconnect.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll help you do. I'll gladly help you do that. And, we're resourceful and, we're waiting for you.
So the next time you guys want to get away from your family and you want to have a magical vacation, call Monica.
I'll go with you.
Anyway, thanks again, guys, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.